Hello everyone and welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Josh, joined today by Ewan Patterson.
Hello, I don't know if you could just hear the really loud car.
I did, I love that. It's because they're excited, Ewan, because we've got some Star Wars news, specifically the fact that a new Knights of the Old Republic game might be in production. But there is a twist, that being, it doesn't look like Bioware or EA are involved at all. What's going on? Please tell me what's happening, Ewan. I need to know because I want to be excited for this game, but also this sounds a little bit crazy.
Yeah, you may remember from last year, actually, that there was a video that we did after CityLinks reported on the fact that there was the rumor that there was a Knights of the Old Republic game in the works, according to their sources. There was something to do with either a remake or a sequel or whatever, along with several other Star Wars titles over in development at EA. However, as the Video Games Chronicle reported yesterday, there are now multiple sources stating that a KOTOR game is in development. It's not a remake. It's a brand new game, and it's also not being made at EA/BioWare/ any of the usual suspects that you may have thought of, and that it is in fact coming from a studio that we basically would not be associating with the Star Wars brand at this current moment in time. This comes from the Bespin Bulletin, who are generally really reliable Star Wars scoopers. They've snapped up a lot of info on Star Wars projects that has later turned out to be true, and they've got some interesting stuff they're talking about with the Kenobi series at the moment. But this is also backed up by Jason Schreier, who was talking about the topic of the KOTOR project on Reset Era, and he said that it is also a development from a studio people won't be expecting, which is very interesting because, I think everyone generally expected after the rumor came out that it would make sense for EA to do a Knights of the Old Republic title, obviously with BioWare being there, and obviously, you can talk about BioWare not being the BioWare of yore or not, but I think people generally expected if they had the Star Wars license that studio would get pulled into the galaxy far, far away in one way or another. So for that to not happen is quite interesting in and of itself, and it's also really exciting because now that Lucasfilm Games is fully back and they're basically receiving pitches for all different kinds of Star Wars games from all different kinds of developers. The scope is pretty much endless for what they could do with a current gen Knights of the Old Republic in the new canon.
Yeah, I mean, it raises so many questions about who they've actually gone with, because Lucasfilm Games, they've hit the ground running, essentially, since announcing their reformation, in announcing, the Star Wars deal with EA is over, though EA are continuing to make games, that they've got the Indiana Jones game on the way. Now we're hearing about KOTOR. The fact that it's not going to be someone we expect is obviously the big mystery, because the first thought would be BioWare, they're confirmed to be out the game, but then the second thought would be Obsidian. Obviously, they made Knights of the Old Republic 2 on a very short time frame, and while that isn't as beloved as the first game, there's still a lot of fan appreciation for that, especially considering the restrictions and limitations the dev team were under at the time. So for me, that would have been the natural second guess as to who was developing it. But obviously, Obsidian have loads on their plate at the moment as well. They've got Avowed coming up. They've undoubtedly got more work on the Outer Worlds 2. There are rumors about a new Vegas 2 happening. So I don't know who I would want to even develop this game if it wasn't either of those two studios. And it makes me wonder about the nature of it. Is it going to be the kind of like a sequel? Is it going to be a reboot of the entire brand? Might it not even have the same RPG elements? That would be a mistake if you ask me. But it's just so open. I have no idea now if those two are pretty much ruled out of the game, where they could go with this brand, and if they're missing an open goal. We've done videos on Star Wars in the air for literally years now, and we've always said the biggest open goal is just letting BioWare do a Knights of the Old Republic, classic RPG like the first one they made. And there were even reports and rumors going around. I think Jason Schreier might have even done a little piece on one that suggested people inside BioWare were pitching this to EA, and EA were just going, no, we don't want that. We're not going to do that. You're going to make Anthem or whatever instead. So I don't know. I'm like a mixed bag of emotions at the moment, because on the one hand, this is cool. On the other hand, man, it's such a big question mark over the entire project at the moment.
Yeah, and especially, the situation regarding, the canon, the canonicity of it all, obviously, because obviously when Lucasfilm was bought up by Disney in 2012, a few years later, basically to avoid confusion, because for as much as I loved individual aspects of the old Star Wars canon, when taken together, it was very confusing and there were some cringe aspects. Not saying that Knights of the Old Republic was cringe at all. I loved those games and I loved the comic book series from Dark Horse, but there were certain aspects of it that just didn't make sense. So now, again, whoever comes in to do Knights of the Old Republic effectively has a blank slate to work with, which is also very exciting. Obviously, at the minute, Lucasfilm Publishing is doing The High Republic, which is set about 100 years or so before the events of the Phantom Menace. And Knights of the Old Republic obviously takes place thousands of years before that. So all sorts of exciting things to do there. And obviously, anyone who's been keeping up with the more recent Star Wars media will know that it has been referenced here or there. There was a Sith Legion in The Rise of Skywalker that I believe had Revan's name, as well as a few older Sith Lords. There was a Knights of the Old Republic reference in both the Clone Wars and also in Rebels 2. So all sorts of stuff there. And I think, generally for the most part, you can assume that the broader strokes of that story probably, are still influencing the current Star Wars canon. Yeah. But yeah, it's really exciting to see where they could go with that. And there are also other Star Wars titles that, the Bespin Bulletin talked about this week as well. They mentioned that a quote-unquote bounty hunter game was being developed somewhere, and that EA is also working on a smaller Star Wars game. So yeah, they don't know whether the bounty hunter game is with EA or with Ubisoft currently. They confirmed that EA is still working on stuff. Obviously, that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order 2 is definitely in the works. That's been, I think Schreier reiterated the other month that was greenlit even before the first game came out. So again, lots of exciting Star Wars news. They say that they actually mentioned in the Bespin Bulletin that they don't think one of the games in development currently is Battlefront 3, which is a bit of a disappointment to me. I think that probably Battlefront 3 we're going to have to wait a really long time for, because obviously at DICE, all hands are on deck for Battlefield 6. But again, lots of different Star Wars titles in the works, and I'm sure the Bounty Hunter game, that is probably at this point, in this post-Mandalorian world, definitely like the same kind of open goal we'd associate with KOTOR a few years ago.
Yeah, it's got to be Mando, man. Like, even when I was catching up, because I got to The Mandalorian quite late, and I was watching the first season last year, then obviously watched the second, but watching that first season especially, I was just thinking, like, this is perfect for a video game. Like, the beats of these episodes, the powers of the Michael Mandalorian himself, like, they're so perfect to be just transplanted onto a gaming framework, whether it's open world or whatever. It's almost like they took inspiration from video games making that first series. But yeah, like the fact that we're now excited about like the future of Star Wars again, like that in and of itself is exciting, you know what I mean? The fact that we could have a bunch of these different franchises either return in one form or another, or we could get brand new IP from, completely different studios than we would expect. I know, wasn't there some kind of potential tidbit in the report that Activision might have something to do with this Knights of the Old Republic game in question? I'm not sure how much validity there is in there on that, but that would be the developer and publisher that I would certainly least expect to deliver an RPG adjacent Knights of the Old Republic. But I have blabbered too much, and I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are you looking forward to a new iteration of the Knights of the Old Republic franchise, and who would you want to see make it? Let us know, and while you're down there, could you give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to WhatCulture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't, I've been Josh, joined today by you and Patterson, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
No, bye.
We're bye.
That's it.
Goodbye now.
This straight off. Bye now.
He's going. He's got to eat his breakfast. That's why.
No time for Twitter handles. Gone.
Forget all of this.
Shutting this down.